what they imply by depicting a vulture. Epigraph, because in this race of creatures, there is no male. That's from the hieroglyphics of Apollo. In the beginning, all was female. Bird begat bird, each impregnated by the wind, which was also female. In the beginning, vulture was goddess. For 120 days she was pregnant, and for 120 days she cared for her young, and for 120 days she cared for herself, preparing to ride the wind for the 5 remaining days of her year. Imagine being cradled by the breath of the world, levitating through lovemaking. Oh, imagine. In the beginning we were worshipped, and in the beginning we could fly, and in the beginning we were loved by the air itself. In the beginning we created, and in the beginning sky bowed to us, and in the beginning earth reached for us, and oh, in the beginning we were holy in the beginning. And can you imagine that? In the beginning we were holy, we were whole. I'm Paula J. Lambert, and so pleased to be reading for the Ohioana Book Festival for the 2nd year in a row. I live in Columbus, Ohio, and I'm this year reading from The Ghost of Every Feathered Thing. The poem I just read was the first one in the collection. And now I'll read the poem where the title of the collection comes from. This is called How History Helps Us Survive, Huatzin. The huatzin is a South American bird, which is born with little claws on its wings. When the bird is very young, there's a lot of predators in the trees near the nest. It's a river bird, so it will sort of jump down into the river, or his parents might sort of jostle him out of the nest to keep him safe from whatever predators are in the trees. In the river, though, there's lots more predators, maybe snakes, who will come, and he will manage to sort of swim to shore and use the little claws to climb the tree to get back into the nest to be safe again. It's an appendage like the egg tooth that simply falls off when the bird is older and mature and has full wings and full muscles and is able to fly and doesn't need it anymore. So how history helps us survive, Huatzin. When the nestling spies the viper, letting go becomes a kind of grace. God is the ghost of every feathered thing that ever dreamed of drawing breath. God surrounds us. And it's not the splash of the river that tells us we've been saved. It's the sound of what swims toward us, the new danger, the ongoing need to survive. History is older than hope. Newly doused and still missing muscle, the nestling knows this, how to open his wings, how to claw his way back to where he belongs. That again is where the title of the book comes from, The Ghost of Every Feathered Thing. The book is very much based in bird anatomy. And then along the way of writing a lot of poems about the beaks and bones and toes and the little claws on its wings, it sort of inevitably, I think, sometimes the deeper we go inside, the more we find our way sort of outside, and it rather inevitably, I think, led to the sacred mythology of birds, which is actually across cultures, but still sticking with some of the basic anatomy here. This is called Evolution of the Eyelid, the Business of Seeing. Vestigial in humans who've learned to cry, the nictitating membrane, translucent, milky sometimes, sweeps its horizontal way across bird's eye. It's messy business watching this world go by, dangerous, gazing even at what we love. Ask eagle, shielding herself from the pointy beaks of her eager, feeding young, or woodpecker, who might otherwise shatter his own retina. Ask ostrich, constantly clearing away dry desert sand, or goose, goggled, diving for her wet dinner. Bird stares it all down, never missing what we don't see, never turning from what makes us blink. And justice. This is called justice. 2 herons were building a nest. The first one stretched his slender neck toward the second, who delivered the long, slim, broken branches that would fashion their home. I've always said it. Even so beautiful, birds can be cruel. The sticks he brought her, he stole. The calls that filled the air came from herons whose homes were being destroyed. I'll say it again. Birds rival even us for what they do. Loving this world so much, they steal for their own survival, keening grief to the wind they think will hear, believing that someone somewhere will understand, will answer. And in that vein, what's not in our nature? Still blind honey-guide chicks, newly hatched from their shells, use perfectly pointed beaks to puncture any eggs still left in the nest. Carnivorous shrikes impale their prey on any spike they can find. The whole world watched on a live stream cam while a Pittsburgh peregrine falcon fed one dead hatchling to one that survived. I mean, would rather not know the ways of the wild, where our hungry hearts might lead. We see a bird soar and call it free, fight for the right to live the same way, knowing peace means nothing to parasite, that might on its own never yields to mercy. We see ourselves as songbirds only, but given the hunger, given the cause, given our driving fear, we wake up singing in the morning sun what just doesn't jibe with the evening news. It helps not to turn away from the world, to see with grace these gifts were given, the will to live, this want to rise. And 2 more, just for a sampling of what's in the book, different kinds of poems that are in the book. The next one is called Kleptoparasitism, Brahmini Kite. This is another one, favorite one for me to read. Kleptoparasitism is when birds basically steal their food. If I always mention seagulls that try to get your french fries at the beach. Brahmini Kite truly is a very, very beautiful bird. Has an all-white face and neck and front here. Really lovely, beautiful bird. Brahmini Kite, a beautiful bird, is said to have very weak feet. He carries only very small prey. Brahmini Kite is largely a scavenger, feeding mostly on dead fish and crabs. He's also a thief. Brahmini Kite steals the prey of other birds, steals from dolphins, steals honey from bees. Brahmini Kite, legend tells us, is born of fire, is called Garuda, is big enough to block the sun. Brahmini Kite, legend tells us, bears Vishnu, who dreams the world into being on his back. Brahmini Kite, legend tells us, is only half bird, half human. Garuda is much like us, beautiful, hungry, weak, willing to cheat and steal, heavy with the burden of sleeping gods on our backs. And Lessons in the Drinking of Nectar, Hummingbird. I think I'll end with this one. This was written for David Glebe. Desire is a guiding force. The ecstasy of wanting draws us all to the feast. Embrace contradiction. Wings a blur, hover still before the blossom, poised for penetration. If diverted, you must dart quickly, strike deadly, Come back to poise. Understand yourself a god, deserving. See the nectary a vessel humbling itself, needs of its own. Remember your destiny, the long, slender syringe of your beak, the dark line of your vessel's deep throat. Release your tongue and drink. Draw back into you that which sustains you. Drink, O divine. Accept this. Etymology. Nectar is from the Greek. Nec, death. Tar, overcoming. Know you are ready. Trust that you will live forever. That's just a sampling of the poems in the book, The Ghost of Every Feathered Thing. I'm Paula J. Lambert, and so happy to be part of this year's Ohioana Book Festival. Thanks so much.